Ever get that feeling like certain dates, just have a certain vibe?
I see what you mean. Not talking astrology here. Right?
Definitely not. More like some dates just keep popping up throughout history. It's like they have their own gravity or something.
And today's deep dive is all about one of those dates, September 22nd.
Exactly. We're going to uncover how this seemingly ordinary day has seen some seriously extraordinary events, and it's all tied to a pretty heavy theme, actually. International conflict and the mark it leaves behind.
You know what always fascinates me about zeroing in on one single date, but across different eras, is the perspective it gives us.
It's like time travel without the time machine.
Precisely. We can trace these threads from then to now, see how conflicts from way back when might still be echoing in our world today.
And who knows, maybe even pick up some clues about how to navigate the future. Which is, let's be honest, a pretty good reason to care about history.
Couldn't agree more.
And speaking of why we care, gotta give a shout out to the listener who suggested this deep dive. They specifically asked for stories that would make them see the past in a whole new light.
Love that. Always up for a good history mystery.
Yeah.
So where are we starting this journey?
Okay, buckle up because we're rewinding all the way back to 1862, right smack in the middle of the American Civil War, September 22nd of that year. Huge turning point.
Ah, yes. This is where things get really interesting with the Emancipation Proclamation.
Okay, so for anyone who's slept through that history class, refresh our memory.
Picture this. President Lincoln, fresh off a Union victory at Antietam, he's got momentum on his side. So he seizes the moment and issues this monumental document, the Emancipation Proclamation. Talk about high stakes.
I bet, but you said calculated risk. Why was it a risk?
Lincoln was walking a tightrope, trying to appease so many different sides. You had the abolitionists who've been demanding emancipation from day one of the war.
Right, they wanted slavery abolished, period.
Exactly. But then you had the border states. They were still part of the Union, but were super hesitant about getting rid of slavery completely. And then, of course, there was the Confederacy.
Who I imagine were not thrilled by this whole emancipation idea.
Understatement of the century. They saw it as a direct assault on their way of life. And here's the thing. Lincoln couldn't even fully enforce the proclamation in Confederate territory at that point.
So it was like a strategic move and a moral statement all rolled into one.
Exactly. Lincoln was playing 4D chess while everyone else was still figuring out checkers.
And what was the fallout from this power move?
Oh, the Emancipation Proclamation sent shockwaves across the globe. Overnight, it transformed the Civil War. No longer about just preserving the Union, it became a fight for human freedom.
That's huge.
Absolutely. Inspired abolitionist movements worldwide, and of course it ultimately played a major role in the end of slavery in the U.S.
Crazy to think how much hinged on that one document signed on September 22nd. It really makes you wonder, what if things had gone differently?
History is full of what-ifs. But that's a discussion for another day, perhaps.
For another deep dive, absolutely. Okay, let's jump forward a bit, shall we? Our next stop, 1980. World's a powder keg at this point, right?
And September 22nd, 1980, throws a match right onto it. That's the day the Iran-Iraq War explodes.
Which sadly wasn't a quick boom and then over.
Oh, no, not at all. This conflict, it dragged on for 8 brutal years, engulfed the whole region. It's a stark reminder that things can escalate from simmering to explosive in the blink of an eye.
So what lit the fuse? What were the ingredients that made this conflict so volatile?
Ooh, where to even start? You had this whole mess of historical grievances, religious tensions, border disputes, power struggles, all stirred up even more by the ambitions of 2 very powerful figures.
Saddam Hussein in Iraq and Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran.
You know your history. Hussein, he saw an opportunity in Iran's post-revolution chaos, figured he'd sweep in, get a quick victory. So on September 22nd, boom, surprise attack.
Except things didn't exactly go according to plan for him, did they?
Not even close. What was supposed to be a quick victory turned into a nightmare.
The Iran-Iraq War, if memory serves, was brutal.
A grinding war of attrition. Hundreds of thousands of lives lost, the region utterly destabilized. It even sucked in global powers, making an already complex geopolitical situation a million times worse. Even today, the scars of that war, they still shape the Middle East.
It's wild to think that a single date can mark the beginning of a conflict that goes on to define a generation.
It's a potent reminder that history isn't some dusty old textbook. It's alive, shaping our present in countless ways, whether we realize it or not.
Truth. All right, ready for our last stop on this September 22nd journey? This one's a bit closer to home, at least time-wise.
1989. the Berlin Wall. Still a powerful symbol of the Cold War, even as it begins to crumble.
And what happened on our trusty date of September 22nd?
Well, it wasn't the dramatic fall we all remember from November, but it was a turning point nonetheless. The opening of a brand new border crossing, right at Berlin's Brandenburg Gate.
Hold on, this wasn't just about a physical wall, though, was it?
Exactly. The Berlin Wall had become this massive symbol of the ideological divide between East and West. But on September 22nd, 1989, after years of pressure from both sides, that wall, that symbol, it cracked.
All from a new border crossing. That's incredible.
It might seem small, but symbolically it was monumental. It foreshadowed the incredible changes that were just around the corner. The fall of the Berlin Wall just 2 months later, and ultimately the collapse of the Soviet Union. It's a testament to the sheer power of persistence, of pushing for change even when it feels impossible. And it reminds us that history has a funny way of surprising us.
That it does. So as we wrap up this deep dive into September 22nd, one thing's clear, this date. It's anything but ordinary. It's a reminder that history isn't just dates in a textbook. It's a living story, playing out around us every single day.
And that brings me to my final thought for everyone listening. Take a look at your own life. What day, maybe one that seemed insignificant at the time, might actually be a hidden turning point when you look back years from now? What events, big or small, might people in the future point to as the day things changed? Keep your eyes open, and you might be surprised by the history unfolding all around you.